What is going on, traders? No surprise that a huge number of investors are exiting the stock market at the moment. According to Bank of America, we are now seeing $11 billion in a US stocks exodus. This is the most in 3 months. You obviously have the fact that it's a midterm election year. September is usually the worst month for stocks. You have a big Fed decision upcoming September 21st, which they will likely do a 75 basis point rate hike. And more importantly, likely the biggest monetary policy news story of the year is that the Fed is going to triple its pace at shrinking its balance sheet. We'll get into this. I've talked about it before, but this is going to start in September. And the last time that the Fed did this, it absolutely spooked the markets. And the Fed had to come back and inject the markets with new liquidity just to keep the stock market and the economy afloat. This was back in 2018, 2019. As of the time of this recording, the CPI data is also coming out on September 13th. This is going to tell us how bad the inflation is year over year. And we are obviously going to get into an analysis of the markets and take a look at the order flows for options and the fact that most of the big orders, if we isolate this to $1 million in premium or above, we have about 91% of shorts in the S&P 500. So what does all this mean for your portfolio, for the markets, for the economy? Let's get right into it. I'll also be telling you why we recently closed our shorts last week. I had shorts on the triple Qs. I had shorts on Tesla. We had shorts on Apple, but why we closed them last week, it was mainly due to a technical reasoning looking at the charts and the fact that I did not want to hold long-term shorts going into an event like the CPI where we could get a lower than expected print and the market could keep rallying in the short term, thereby killing all the profits that we've already accumulated heavily in those shorts. And this was because we bounced off of the golden pocket going into CPI week, which, as you've seen before, these binary events could make stocks absolutely rocket. And after bouncing off this golden pocket, what was above here was the resistance of this descending wedge. But as you guys know, we will cover this stuff on TA Tuesday / TA Thursdays, a segment that all of you have asked me about. So we will go into a technical in-depth analysis of the markets on Tuesday and or Thursday. So I won't do it in this video. I'll just talk about it in a broad-based manner. And if you want access to all of our trades, all of our analysis, if you want access to the day trading course, the options course, the chat where you get to chat with thousands of traders, the Zoom calls with me where you get to ask me any question you like on a live Zoom call. We go over strategies, we go over trades, we go over tutorials on how to trade, how to do fundamental analysis, how to do technical analysis. That link is in the description. We just open up spots for September again. So sign up, book a free call with one of our ambassadors, and apply. All right, so Bank of America says that there is a stock exodus of around $11 billion, the most in 3 months. However, this doesn't really tell us whether stocks are going to dump or not, because we saw the same exact thing back around, I think it was around July time. And if you guys remember, stocks absolutely rallied between July and August. So, this does not really point to any sort of directionality. It just says that retail traders have likely exited. That doesn't mean that institutions have exited and have taken advantage of certain market conditions. Like if they thought that the Fed was going to now ease because the Fed had proclaimed that we were at neutral, well, then the institutions are going to start buying up risky assets again, especially after they've fallen 30, 40, 50%. So even though we've had a mass exodus in July, that doesn't mean that the stock market is going to tank. Just like now, we've had a mass exodus in September, it doesn't mean that the stock market is going to tank. Now, if this was, and there's really no way to tell because it's not reported in that way, but if this was institutions that were exiting as opposed to individuals exiting, then that is a more telling story. And speaking of institutions, let's take a look at large options orders. If we filter this by $1 million in premium or above, you'll see that we are at about a 10-to-1 put call ratio on the SPY. If we take a look at the triple Qs and see what that is, we are at about a 12-to-1 put to call ratio if you filter it by large orders. This is 500K and above. So folks are definitely hedging here in the short term because of CPI data and because of Fed monetary policy, the fact that they're going to raise rates, but more importantly, the fact that they're going to let assets run off of their balance sheet. So let's take a look at what happened the last time the Fed allowed assets to run off their balance sheet like this. What the Fed is about to do is called QT, or quantitative tightening, which is the opposite of quantitative easing. This was something that was introduced by the Bank of Japan in 2001. Before that, what central banks used to do was mess around with the interest rate to try to control monetary policy. But the Bank of Japan came up, I actually think it was Milton Friedman who first proposed it, but the Bank of Japan was the first bank to actually implement it, was buying assets, buying bonds. This is quantitative easing, is buying bonds, thereby driving the interest rates, the long-term interest rates lower. And when you drive interest rates lower, obviously money becomes cheaper. And in conjunction with already a low Fed funds rate or low central bank funds rate, then you have basically injected the entire system with an abundance of liquidity. More businesses get started, more things get bought, businesses borrow more money, and also the value of earnings goes up because the cost of future earnings or forward earnings are a lot less due to the low interest rates. So after the great financial crisis of 2008, the US then tried their hand at quantitative tightening the same way that Japan, or quantitative easing, sorry, the same way that Japan did in 2001. And you could see here from 2010 to 2021, we've had an insane bull market. Over half of non-earnings driven market cap changes was explained by the Fed balance sheet expansion since GFC. GFC here referring to the global financial crisis. So if the intended effect of quantitative easing is to prop up the markets with liquidity, what is quantitative tightening and how does that affect the market? Well, logically, it has to have the exact same opposite effect, right? So back in 2017, Janet Yellen, who was the Fed chair, basically said that quantitative tightening is going to be as exciting as watching paint dry, meaning that it's going to be a non-event. And she tried to play it down and play down the negative effects of quantitative tightening. At that point, the federal balance sheet in 2017 was still above $4 trillion. It was around $4.5 trillion from 2014 all the way to 2018. So almost 4 years, it was the same level. And in 2017, they started toying around with quantitative tightening. Well, as you got into 2018, 2019, they didn't even let that many assets run off of the balance sheet. The balance sheet went from about 4.5 trillion all the way down to about 3.7 trillion. And along the way, what happened to the markets, if we take a look at a retrospective picture, you'll see that during that time, this was before the COVID crash of 2020, you'll see that from 2018 all the way into 2019, the market actually tanked and we had a near bear market, right? Some would say you did have a bear market depending on which index you looked at, but the S&P 500 tanked that year by about 20%. Now, why did we get this recovery here? Well, we got this recovery because the Fed started buying up assets off. The Fed said that they're going to stop this. They're going to cut rates, right? Once again, and they're going to buy assets off of the balance sheet once again. This was before COVID, right? This right here was after COVID when they added another 5 trillion onto the balance sheet. But before that, you see this little tick up here. That was because the markets were spooked. And so the Fed was then trying their hand, and the Fed at that point panicked, whether it was by political influence or not, and said, okay, we're just kidding. Here, we're going to cut the interest rates and buy more assets off the balance sheet. Now, obviously, nobody saw COVID coming. So when COVID came, they had to go above and beyond. And now we are left with this bloated $9 trillion balance sheet. Now, it looks like as of now, the Fed actually has kept somewhat their promise of letting assets roll off their balance sheet, although the rate of them rolling it off has not been kept up, right? But it's supposed to accelerate in September this month, as of the time of this recording, to $95 billion a month, which would put us at about $1 trillion off of the balance sheet in a year. That is the goal. Let's see if the Fed actually falls through with that. Because I guarantee you, if they don't, and if they start buying assets off the balance sheet once again, then what's going to happen if they then see this dip here and the market starts dipping after this little bear market rally and they start buying assets off of the balance sheet, well, then you're going to get a stock market that is likely going to go up again. This is not out of the realm of possibility. There is an inextricable tie between Fed policy and between the stock market. It's clear that the stock market is addicted to easy Fed policy. That is, there's a heavy correlation there that can't be denied. So after we saw this bounce here, this technical bounce at the golden pocket level, well, now we are running into this resistance, and we will see at the same exact time that the CPI is coming out, and then next week the Fed policy comes out. We will see what happens if the Fed either doesn't raise interest rates by at least 75 basis points, if CPI comes in much lower than expected, if the Fed then talks about any sort of pivoting or easing or halting, then you could see the markets get back up to the level that we saw back in April and back in August, the recent peak, and maybe even above, depending on how much lower CPI is and how much more lenient the Fed is. But if CPI comes in as expected or higher, and if the Fed digs their heels in and remains as hawkish as they've been sounding lately, then I do think that the market can likely fall back and revisit these June lows here. And if we take a look at the CPI numbers, I think the consensus is at 8.1%. So you have an array of estimates between 7.9 and 8.3. If you added them all together, I think the consensus is around 8.1% year over year. So let's see if that's the case. Now, we could actually get there because the price of oil for the time, remember, this is a retroactive look at inflation. This is not a current look at inflation. So these are inflation numbers for August. And if you look at August, we've actually had a pretty big drawdown in the price of oil, and that could reflect heavily on CPI. Obviously, CPI is not totally made up of oil, but oil is a huge factor. So the price of fuel has actually gone down in August, and that could weigh in on a, as expected CPI or maybe slightly lower than expected CPI. But I don't think, based on what the Fed has said, I don't think that the Fed is going to shake policy depending on what happens with CPI. I think they'll remain at 75 basis points. I think they will remain with the $95 billion in assets rolling off every month. It's just what is their tone? Because the market is going to look for any sort of clue of a mention of halting or pivoting or easing, and not being as hawkish as they've recently sounded. Anyway, traders, that is it for this video. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. I put up free finance content there and on Twitter almost every single day. So be sure to follow me on there for useful free information. You also get to see on Instagram, you get to see pictures and videos of my travels, even though that might not be important to you. But follow me on those two platforms. Again, we opened up spots for September. So if you want access to all of that stuff, book a free call with one of the ambassadors, absolutely free. Link is down below. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Stay safe out there, traders. Peace.